Today, we're going to talk about the thing that costs people the most games in League, getting picked off. How many games have you lost when you were overextended in the late game and got caught, leaving your team to 4v5 and then watching them break down and lose? You know what's even worse? Remember that time you watched your carry get picked off alone because they were too ballsy, and then you saw that ranked loss pop up on a game that was completely winnable and even an easy win for your team? Yeah, that's frustrating. But regardless of whether you got picked off at the end of the game or early on, it always costs you a lot more than you think. Not only do you generously donate gold and XP to the enemy, but you also lose the opportunity to get gold and XP for yourself while you're dead and running back. On top of that, you allow the enemy to capitalize on a power play. Whether you're a new player or a veteran, decreasing the amount you get picked off is a key metric you want to improve for performance. Every time you get picked off, one of two things has happened. One, you were unaware of enemy whereabouts and location and died to a surprise attack. This is a problem of lack of awareness and poor information gathering. 2, you were aware of all enemy locations and took a fight where you overestimated your own abilities or underestimated the enemy. This is a problem of lack of judgment. These are two problems that require two different solutions. Let's start with the first problem, your pick awareness. If you've been following this series, then you know that the amount of information you process and the timing of how and when you update your ongoing state of the game in your head is key to making good decisions. Most people simply just don't have all the information they need to make the right decision before getting picked off. They don't refresh their location of enemy champions close enough to the fight, or they just aren't mentally tracking the champs. Most people don't even understand game time versus real time, or rather, they don't have a good feel for it. Ever feel like you thought the enemy Warwick was really far away and you have time to clear the creep wave before you back? All of a sudden they're on top of you and you're past river and you just die, costing your team map position. Does that sound familiar? It's actually quite normal. Most people do not have a strong feel for how long it takes to cross distances and how champion unique movement abilities affect that time. Just think of it this way. You're watching a streamer play, you can see everything clearly in a team fight. And in your head, you're telling them exactly what they're missing and what they should be doing. When you play that same team fight, it's over in a blink of an eye and you don't notice a thing. This is what we call observer time versus real time. Or rather, this is what leads to backseat gaming or armchair quarterbacking being so popular. Do you really think that the athletes on the field are so slow to not notice the things that you can as a viewer? Of course not. Watching something from a detached perspective gives you more ability to see the entire picture rather than being in the thick of it, dedicating significant brain power to actually executing. The second problem mainly stems from a lack of judgment. Sometimes we know where the enemy is and we know where our allies are and we engage anyways and die. What happens in these cases? Well, first, we overestimate our own power levels, or we underestimate our opponent's power levels despite being informed of their items and level. Potentially, we can miscalculate our allies' ability to contribute and expect them to show up when they don't. Or we underestimate how quickly enemies can close distances to help allies, or we forget about globals. Yeah, we've all been there. Or finally, we might just herp derp all our abilities and mis-execute. So, now that we understand the two major components of why picks happen, let's talk about how to improve. In the first case, the lack of awareness, we can help you with that. The most important thing is that you improve the amount of information you take in and the timing of when you refresh your mental image of the game. If you use our eye tracking feature, we can immediately tell you how often you're looking at the map and updating your mental game state. We can tell you if you do this just before you got picked off or if you really got picked off unaware. If you are getting picked off aware, then you probably have more issues with judgment than awareness. How do you build pick awareness? The same way you build map awareness and game awareness. Build habits and stick to improving them. The best way to build a habit is on top of another habit. Do you always look at your cooldowns before a gank or your allies' ultimates? Great. Now add the map to that list and repeat it. Pretty soon it'll become second nature. Check out the rest of the videos in this series for more details on how to build good habits. In the second case, lack of judgment, it takes a lot longer to improve. Good judgment only comes with time, repetition, self-reflection, and correction. There's a great story that I like that really illustrates this. It's about a chief medical resident teaching a new batch of students how to be a top-tier doctor. When a student asked him, "What's the most important skill a good doctor needs to have?" he answered, "Good judgment." The student then asked, "And how do we get good judgment?" The chief looked at him and said, "Bad judgment." League really isn't too different if you think about it. The most important skill is good judgment and decision making, and the only way to get it is a lot of bad judgment. You can't know when to go into a fight, or when to dodge a skill shot, or when to stay, or when to leave if you don't try. So don't be discouraged. That's why we're here. Keep trying, keep failing, and keep using our tools, and keep watching us and other people better than you to learn. Nothing throws your games harder than wasteful deaths that happen when you get picked off. If you never get picked off in any games, you could probably get carried to plat being a mediocre player. Focus on improving and measuring your awareness so you don't make costly mistakes.